Hi everybody. Today or tonight we're going to be looking at my Cattleya orchids. And I'll be the first to admit I haven't experimented with these much. They've sat in the background and I've watered them very infrequently. And I have to admit I was just a bit afraid of them because I didn't know much about them and I just trusted, well, occasionally I'll give them a little water and they'll grow, and that's what they've been doing. But before we go any further, let's compare a really healthy Cattleya orchid to a really healthy Phalaenopsis orchid. And I specifically want to focus in on the roots. So I searched images of Cattleya roots online, and this was the best one I came up with. And notice down here, the green tips, it's very reminiscent of Phalaenopsis. You have the velamen, you have the green root tips that are more sensitive, and underneath the velamen you have cortex. So that's a really healthy set of roots there. Now you also might be familiar with my G5 orchid that I made a video about a long time ago in June. And I'm just going to put these down so that they're under that picture of the Cattleya roots. And let's compare them. So the Cattleya roots, when they're dry, are almost white. And that never really happens with Phalaenopsis. These have been dry now for about at least 5 days. And that's about as light as you're going to get. But you see the incredible similarities, other than the color. And you know what another incredible similarity is? Well, both of these orchids, the Phalaenopsis and the Cattleya, use CAM photosynthesis. Now, I've known this for a long time, but I just haven't had the courage to act on it. So it's time to bring these little guys into the realm of air culture. And perhaps we'll get something like this someday. So recently, I decided to remove 2 of these from the bark that they were in, just as these 2 are. And it was difficult finding a container because the leaves don't spray it. They don't splay out. They don't grow in what's called a monopodial fashion. They grow in a sympodial fashion where there's a rhizome that creeps along and these pseudobulbs pop out of the rhizome. And so consequently, the leaves are more vertical than Phalaenopsis, and it's harder to put them in a vase, or a suitable vase. So I have these little capers jars that were lying around, and they're perfect. And I first put the orchid in. Just let me take this out. I first put the orchid in, and it went in too deeply. So my wife had these polished stones, which work really well. I tried using regular pebbles, but they were porous and they really held on to the water for a long time. With these or with marbles, the water just filters right through and hits the bottom. Whatever residual water there is, will just filter to the bottom. So that's what I was after. So I removed 2 of them from their plastic containers with bark. And I want to now show you the similarities between what I found with our new Cattleya orchid compared to, remember R1, the burnt out roots from overwatering? Well, take a look at this Cattleya. And it reminds me of that famous quote of Yogi Berra's, "It's deja vu all over again." It really is. we have the same exact situation here. And just like the Phalaenopsis that I've been showing you in the videos, we have super healthy leaves. These are hard as rocks. They're just great. And the roots have been compromised. You know, we have a few here, like this one is good. I can squeeze this, it's nice and hard. And there's a few of them as you go around, but most of them have dried up and are pretty useless. Let's take a look at this one. This one's G8. Again, we have really hard leaves, standing erect. And let's take a look at the roots on this one now. Now you see those nice white roots that you saw in the photo on the iPad. But all of these roots have terminated, and we've seen that over and over again with overwatering with the Phalaenopsis, or with roots that have been left in bark and, you know, just suffocated. And here we have the same exact situation again. So we have a smattering. It's like 50-50 between really good roots that have terminated and then the roots that have shriveled up from overwatering and fungus, you know, the fight with fungus beneath the surface. And G6 has been doing really well. It's got a new bulb that's shooting out here. The leaves have grown a lot. But I was concerned about this bumpiness on the leaves. I'm not quite sure what that is. If some of you out there, if you're Cattleya experts, you can comment and give me some advice on that. But what I want to do now is take this out and get rid of the bark and see what's in here beneath the surface, and then we'll put it in this capers jar. And here's what we have. And a lot of the bark is still attached to the roots. And I'm okay with that because that's how the roots get nutrients. So I'll just leave that. But overall, from my experience with the phals, these roots look really dried up. And I'm looking at the bottom, this little leaf here. It looks, see that? Looks depressed and slightly shriveled up. So this plant really needs water. So it's interesting, in this little leaf we get these striations from the lack of water, like a collapsing of the cell walls. And then with these bigger, more established leaves, we get this funky kind of, I don't know how you would describe that, but it's just no longer smooth. Let me just focus in on that for you. And perhaps this is one of the telltale signs of Cattleya really needing water. So it's 9/16 Sunday night, August 3rd, and I think what I'm going to do with this is what I do with my Phalaenopsis orchids when they need a lot of water. I'm going to soak this one for 24 hours. And I think it'll enjoy that. And then I'll see if it has any bearing on the leaves. You know, over a period of days after that. I want it to dry out then. And who knows? I'm experimenting here. I might do the same thing, say, on Thursday. But I want to just see if I can get these leaves back and get rid of that bumpiness to where they can look like these leaves, nice and smooth and hard. So there you have it. I've added water right up to the bottom of the leaves. I just wanted to get all of the root matter covered with water. And I'll try to provide updates either tomorrow night or later on in the week. Okay, thanks again for watching.